need to support them too. We need to vote out for them too and keep them on. So sorry about that. It's all friends.
Either way, I'm going to give you a quick update on some of the bills. The good news, in case you didn't see it in the paper, this is not comprehensive. It's just to highlight a few things. But the personhood bill that threatens in vitro fertilization, that is dead.
Yes.
The union, yes, you can clap for that. The union busting bill targeting police, firefighters, teachers, and other public servants, that's dead. Banning gay marriage, that's dead. This is a big one. Removing gender identity from the Iowa Civil Rights Code, that is dead. So I've been sharing with some folks too, that, there's some folks that are not comfortable, they're not quite sure where they stand with our transgender community. I always share with them that my son's part of the transgender community, and I let them know in particular if they're from a disfranchised, underrepresented group, if they open up the Civil Rights Code, they're not just going for gender identity. In fact, I know 3 Republican representatives from some of the rural areas, they don't want to have protected groups at all. So that's why it's critical for us all to stick together and help lift each other up. A couple other ones, allowing government agencies to bypass a state audit. Yeah, I know everyone was working hard on that one, and Auditor Sand has some great social media stuff out there about that one. So yeah.
So they can't hire private? Is that a different thing?
No, that's that bill.
Okay.
Yeah,
they can't hire private.
Let our state auditor be an auditor, right? Yeah. I won't hide it. Restricting access to STI vaccinations for Iowa youth, that's dead.
Yay!
Yes.
That's good.
Yep, that's very good. Restricting diversity, equity, inclusion work at the universities, that's dead. Now the regents did pass some rules. This would have put it in the Iowa code, but so the regents institutes will continue if it's required by federal law, which a lot of those positions are, then they'll be good there. Unfortunately, people get scared and they're, the damage has been done. People don't feel safe and they feel like they were being targeted, and that's unfortunate. Death penalty, that's done. Let's see, not allowing localities to ban conversion therapy. Tinkering with the U.S. Constitution, that was House File 2116 or Senate File 2130, that's done.
What did that involve?
I think part of that was related to the trying to get the Constitutional Convention. You've heard about that effort around the states to try and get, depending on which issue and which group it was, to open up have a national constitutional convention. Some of them, for professing our Constitution, I think all they really wanted to do was get rid of the Bill of Rights, and that was the first thing the Founding Fathers put in, knowing that they weren't perfected, the flexibility to change. The ivermectin treatment authority, that's gone. City Council takeover of libraries, that's gone.
Yay!
Politicizing the judicial selection, so Governor Reynolds can't have her majority selection of the justices. Voucher expansion to private preschools, that's done. Partisan elections for school board, city council, and merged AEAs, that's done. School to employ chaplain services to students, that's done. Making it harder to get the abortion pill, that's done. The social studies curriculum mandates, that's done.
She's not getting very much for what she wanted.
Yeah, there's still some stuff out there. I know. Let's see. Changes nutrient management plans allowing for producers to avoid requirements of pollute waterways. That's done. And that's important. I know we had a conversation earlier. Restricting the DNR from purchasing public land. That's done. And then the U.S. citizenship voting verification, a couple other things related to our undocumented communities. That's some of them are done, but there's some others that are out there. So I'll share with some folks earlier. It's critical to continue, even sending to us, so that we can make sure that we are sharing your stories, your concerns with the Republican majority gives us an opportunity to try and bend their ear, to pull some of them aside. We even had a bill, you probably heard, there was a policy bill related about guns in schools, and then there was a week later, there was nothing said about money for that. I'm on the Appropriations Committee with Beth, and we were sitting down for a school safety bill to purchase cameras and radios for school districts with a demonstration grant of $3 million. Well, we sat down for the Appropriations Committee, and staff said, wait, there's an amendment. And the amendment took out the money for the radios and put in $3 million for purchasing weapons and training. And so, yeah, it's that's the mindset that we're dealing with. But when you continue to advocate, when you get people that you know to share your stories, I know people get busy. Don't send the form letters, send stories. Stories are real people, they're real Iowans, they have real impact and give us the ability to push back on some of those things. So it's, you may have also seen and heard, just with the volume of bills that came through the House, there were actually a little over 250 that we took action on. Some didn't pass, as y'all heard, and some didn't make it to the Senate. They passed maybe about 45 bills through. Again, that gets back to the power of, if we're able to slow things down, that gives us the opportunity to educate, inform, and recruit more people to pull back, push back, and to recruit some of even Governor Reynolds' donors to stop and say, hey, what the heck are you doing on a particular issue? So again, kudos to you. Let's see, I know I'm the ranking member. I didn't go over my committees, I think most of you know, but I'm the ranking Democrat on Judiciary. I'm on the Maine Appropriations Committee. I'm also on the Veterans Affairs Committee and the Justice Systems Budget Subcommittee, which deals with funding for our state troopers, for the National Guard, and our Department of Corrections. Beth sits on Judiciary with me, and we shake our heads every year that I've been there, and most of when she's been there, all the Republicans do is they take a crime, and some incident will happen, and no data, just one circumstance will happen, and the person was arrested and charged with a simple misdemeanor. Now it's got to be a serious misdemeanor. Now it's got to be a Class D felony, C, B on up every session, and even creating new crimes that, again, people have been arrested for, but just to say that they did something, that they do that. But as the ranking Democrat, my job is to review the bills as they come through, that over 200 that came through, and to decide which committee, which my colleagues on the Judiciary Committee to assign. And anytime there's a bill related to personhood, abortion, anything like that, Beth is our champion. She's your champion for that, and so she does a fantastic job pushing back on that, and in some case shaming them on the House floor. So let's give that So I've vamped long enough, and my colleague, he's a friend to all of us up in House District 1. And JD, I didn't give a chance to if you get something to eat or something to drink, but I'm.
We'll save it.
Yeah, we'll save it for yeah. Willing to have taken on Steve King during that congressional race, getting better known, making connections for all of us, and the connections that he's making, not just here in Iowa, but across the country. We're real proud of JD. I know that you heard about the volume of bills, and that's just the ones we considered. That doesn't count the ones that didn't make it through a subcommittee. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of bills. So it's it's really difficult to read through all of those. In fact, you can't. And so we have to trust our teammates. And JD's a teammate. I know that when JD talks about any particular bills, he has the insight not just here on how it affects Iowans, but how it has been perceived around the country. In fact, I like to think of him as speaking softly and carrying that big stick. Well, he speaks loudly and carries that big stick, especially with monopolies. And I don't want to get into spiel on what he wants to share, but please put your hands together for our friend JD Scholten. Yeah, good to see you.
right. Well, I'm honored to be back. It's great to see so many familiar faces. This is kind of special for me because my first congressional event was down the street, and I was born down that street, and so now we're here in the middle, and so it feels about right. When Beth asked me to come up here, you know, what Ross was saying was exactly right. She is a champion, and her floor speeches, I love. She has her own way about it, and she just gets right underneath their skin and just points out the things that need to be said. And I'm just a huge fan of Beth, and so I'm glad and honored to be here. But we sit in the caucus, and I get a kind of a Story County sandwich where Ross sits on one side and Beth sits on the other, and Beth, more times than not, forgets a pen. And so I go, I'll do this fundraiser for you, but you have to raise money to get a pen. So I mean, things have changed since I've last been down here, you know. But one thing that isn't changed is the difference between here and where I'm at in Sioux City. You're looking at the only Democrat in the Capitol west of here. We got Josh Turek down in Council Bluffs, but the 32 counties of Northwest Iowa, this is it. And that's why I'm here, because Democrats have their back against the wall in 2024. I think there is so much potential that we can do to win back seats, but it starts with making sure people like Beth get reelected, people like Ross, but then it's also helping out and expanding the map. And so that's what I'm focused on doing. To put things into perspective in Sioux City, when the school boards and the city council folks were voted on, the Sioux City Journal had an article about them. 27,000 active voters in a city that has 85,000 people. Now, I'm not the sharpest, but that math seems to me like we're missing out on thousands of votes. Not hundreds of votes, thousands of votes. And so that's what I'm committed in, trying to turn something up in Sioux City so we can make sure that we can get a couple more seats there. And we just had seats, and so just this redistricting was a little bit rough, but it's also a little bit on our fault. We don't have the best infrastructure up there, and we're going through some growing pains in the Democratic Party there, but I'm excited about a lot of the work that's happening and getting a lot of new people involved. And that's a lot of my focus. At the Capitol, man, things are tough. It's not great. And to put things into perspective, there's more proposed bills on affecting transgender athletes than there are even transgender athletes in the state of Iowa. You know, that's to put things into perspective. And yet when I go door knocking, I hear about healthcare costs. I hear about nursing home issues. I hear mental health. I went to a mental health forum in Sioux City. They said that we needed 1,400 mental health psychiatrists to match the needs in the state of Iowa. Currently, there's only 243. And the ones in Sioux City are burnt out and either looking to get out or move to another state, and that's not good. And then when we argued or we debated on the floor about the arming teachers and staff bill, they went up and said, "Oh, we've put millions of dollars into this." Well, it's not enough. It's not matching the needs of the people, and I think that's the big thing that I've really noticed, especially this year. Last year was a little bit new, being down at the Capitol for the first time and everything, but just seeing where the Republicans at the Capitol are compared to where it's not even where the Democrats are, where just Iowans are.
Yeah,
it's
right.
It's so far removed.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I would love to think that some of the things that I'm passionate about in the Democratic Party are the things that are really going to move things. But at the end of the day, what we're really seeing, the biggest thing that I've seen is the AEA bill. I think that's the first time. I would love to say it was vouchers, but even with vouchers, there was about 5 to 10% of Iowans that wanted it. And I have Sioux City Healing in my district, and Sioux City Healing's probably going to do well because of the voucher. I didn't support it, and I still don't support it. I don't believe in giving public money to private schools. But when we come to the AEA thing in the bill, there's just something out there that it started to trigger folks who have not been politically active, to get them engaged. and get voices. I know I'm in Iowa State country, but TJ Hawkinson, the tight end that went to Iowa, that is in the plays with the Lions, or was with the Lions, now with the Vikings, he even tweeted about it because his mom worked at the AEA. And so, when you can get folks who have not been political to not only talk about it, but post something about it, I think there's hope. And so I'm very hopeful for 2024 for Iowa Democrats, but a lot of work needs to be done. Gotta check my notes. I haven't given one of these speeches in a while, so it's an honor. So for me personally, we all did. I got my name on the ballot again for this next cycle. Still yet to be determined if it's the best or worst decision I ever made. But it is an honor to be down at the Capitol. It gets long nights. It gets a lot of frustrating. That 3-hour drive back and forth between there and Sioux City gets a little rough, but it gives me a lot of time to think, which can be a little bit dangerous. But it's still just being down there and trying to do meaningful things. But what I'm most excited about is that I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think that the Democratic Party is going to fight back and have better days ahead of us, especially here tonight. As Ross alluded to, I'm still very passionate about, I think on my campaign trail, you guys probably remember Fix, Fight, and Secure. And the fight part was fighting for an economy that works for everybody. And I'm like to continue to battle the anti-monopoly stuff down at the Capitol, doing the best we can. A lot of the issues are federal, but I still try to do the best I can at the state level. For folks, a lot of you, I think, follow me on the various forums, and one of the things is my Substack. It's free. It's called You're Probably Getting Screwed. It's been interesting because I rebooted it. I started initially with Courier News, the same entity that owns Iowa Starting Line, and we kind of split about this time last year. And I thought, I just have enough on my plate. But at the end of the day, I connected with my friend up in Minnesota. He's part of the Minnesota Farmers Union, and we just got the idea of there's something happening. We saw all these strikes happening across the country. I remember being on the campaign trail and talking to farmers when 5 years of low commodity prices, their backs were against the wall, and the number one thing they talked to me about was not the price of fertilizer or the market or anything. It was about healthcare. And you add all these little things up together, and we're seeing these huge corporations have tremendous amount of power. We saw Tyson taking away thousands of jobs. In Sioux City, they took away 500 white-collar jobs, and moved them down to, this time last year, down to Arkansas, and that hurts our community tremendously. And we just, this consolidation is every sector in our industry, or every sector in our economy, we just see parts of this, and just the same story over and over again. So anything I can do to help raise awareness of that, I'm going to try and do. And even though it takes a little bit extra time, takes a few hours a week that I don't really have, I feel it's worth it, because it's really starting to connect with folks. And here's a story I'll end with, is that we meet with our Woodbury County Farm Bureau, the farmers there, and I went into there. We had a mid-legislation meeting here a couple weeks ago, actually this time, or last Friday, and I started talking about one of the bills, or actually one of the proudest things I did is I got the whole House Democratic Caucus to write a letter to the FTC and the DOJ and AG Byrd to challenge Koch Industries buying the Iowa fertilizer plant. And the reason why is because the state of Iowa gave $100 million to help do that, and overall they had $500 million. And the purpose that Governor Branstad said was to create competition in fertilizer to help farmers. Well, the whole thing to create that was to protect it from one of the big fours, and that's Koch Industries, and now they're buying it up. And so I told the Farm Bureau folks about that, and the farmers there, and one guy stood up and goes, "Hey, you guys should follow his Substack. He talks about this stuff every day." And here, I'm the only Democrat in the room, and here they're following me, and so I take honor in that. And so it just, you never know who you're going to touch, and that's why, like, coming out here, I know what Ross and Beth they're going to do to get reelected, but it's what can we do to get other folks elected, and how can we branch out? And just the amount of time I spent on the doors, just door knocking, you have no idea how just that one-on-one contact that can really change somebody. When we had to get signatures here in the past few weeks, my strategy, I have a neighborhood bar. I go there on Friday night. Whatever I don't get, I go to Hy-Vee the next day and get in the morning. And at that bar, out of the 25 signatures, 4 people were not registered to vote. And so right on that spot, I got 2 of them to register, and then I have their names, and I'm going to contact the other 2 and make sure they vote come November. And so that's what it takes, that touch. But I just appreciate all your support for Beth. I think the world of her. I thought the world of her when I was running for Congress, but being down there working with her every single day and listening to her floor speeches, she is a champion. And I'm grateful that you're all here and you all continue to support her. And it's so good to see so many familiar faces. I'll be here for a little bit, but with that, I just gotta say my name's JD Scholten, and I continue to stand tall for all.
Do folks have any questions? You got time for some questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and if you don't know the answer, look at each other and shrug our shoulders. I did want to mention, well, if I put it up, I might as well pull it out because I'm shorter than you are. I believe today's the last day for candidates to file, and I believe House Democrats, I think we've got 75.
I saw Sean's Bignowski's we have 75 and Republicans have 74. So House Democrats outworked and have more candidates than the other side. So
yeah,
a lot of those states have primaries,
and they have more primaries than we do. They have more primaries, and it's not, in some cases, just looking at who they are and looking at some of the social media. In some cases, it's someone further to the right. In other cases, some of the House Republicans who endorsed Nikki Haley, the Trump campaign has them being primary. So it's kind of a mixture of that. So yeah. So we're excited. And as of 5:40. I don't have an opponent, and Beth doesn't. That'll probably shake itself out here in the next few hours. But when that happens, that frees us up. Money that we have will go to support JD and some other critical ones, and some of these ones that we are challenging, especially some of the big target seats that we have that we're going after. Some folks that we, they're what we believe are some purple districts. And keep our chins up because the school board elections, right? 12 of 13 of the moms for whatever they are, they lost.
The new mayor of Boone.
New mayor of Boone, and then which county auditor was it? Was that? Warren County?
Ottumwa, so Warren, yeah.
Yeah, we, a heavily Trump. Wapello County.
Wapello,
okay.
Extension Eagle.
Oh, yeah, we got right too. Yeah, so there's hope to really go, and the AEA bill, the anti-trans bill, in our social media, House Democrats, we put out, folks to, sign up, survey. We had thousands of people, a lot of whom we didn't have in our databases, that they're getting our newsletters, they're signed up for our social media, so we're going to continue to let them know Kim Reynolds did this. She directed her House and Senate Republicans to do these harmful bills towards Iowans, towards all Iowans, not just D's, not just ours, and to hold them accountable in November. And for every person who says Kim Reynolds has to go, I say yes, and it starts this fall by helping us get some seats in the House.
Make it the Reynolds rap.
Other questions?
I thought it was really interesting at the town forum I went to in Jefferson. It was packed with librarians and AEA folks and teachers, and Jesse Green and Carter Nordman stood up there and called them liars. To their face. They said, you know, the librarians have been lying about what's going to happen with this bill, and it's just not true, and they're misleading the public. And the librarians were sitting right there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The bill on the librarians, when that happened, it didn't go anywhere, but when it happened, they were, and I remember hearing about it on a podcast, they were the most efficient, and they got in there, said their thing, and they were out, and they all spoke. It was all really quick, and they got their,
What was the issue?
They were trying to take away the board.
Library board.
The library board.
The
So
city
they,
council.
so they were trying to politicize the board. So
It was the bill that failed in Pella, basically, where the city council would appoint the library boards instead of them all being elected. Yeah, so it got defeated in Pella, so they brought it back up in the legislature.
Yeah. So.
Say, JD, I would like you to rehash your publication about the Super Bowl and the money tied in with that. And just for everybody's entertainment, because it's very profound. But I don't want to get it off the weeds, because I don't think we believe that that is an issue that will bring people to vote.
Yeah.
But it pisses me off. and the whole wealth inequality.
Yep.
The idea of billionaires, not just billionaires, but billionaires with hundreds of billions of dollars, is totally nuts.
Right.
What are we doing? You know, and they can control the media. They can control every freaking image we see and determine who votes and doesn't vote.
That's right.
So but please entertain us, because that was really a very good presentation.
Oh, good. I'm glad they connected. So the sum of it was because of the Super Bowl. Last year they broke a record for the amount of advertising dollars. This year broke it with the overtime and everything. And I think was per commercial it was $7 million. You think of all that. Well, the company that owns the TV station of CBS, Paramount Plus, they laid off 800 workers the week after the Super Bowl. They got all this money, and yet so my point in this video was to show what the economy is right now. When there's record money to be made, and yet there are still layoffs, and that disconnect. And it just, that's what we have.
Where does the money go?
It goes to the CEOs, it goes to the executive committee, and so they're just that lack of connection. And of the I believe it was the tech, there was about 30 tech-related commercials, and of them, almost 70% of those companies, even though they paid millions and millions of dollars for this commercial, laid off workers within the next year. So.
JD, you're the resident expert statewide in this topic, but in 3 or 4 talking points or less, how do we regain our competitive position in rural Iowa?
How do we regain our competitive position in rural Iowa? Well, I don't think we have to do anything other than say what's happening at the state legislature. You look at the lack of investment in public education, what's happening today? Today is the last day that public school districts have to get levies if they make up for the money that's lost from the state funding. This is the first time that I'm aware of that we're going into spring break when school districts have no idea. We passed 3% SSA funding, and this gets a little into the weeds, and I apologize, but 3% in the House. What that means is that 116 school districts from across the state, mostly rural, are going to have to jack up property taxes to make up the difference. If we pass what the governor and the Senate has not voted on this yet, if we pass what they want, that's 2.5%. That means half the school districts in this state have to jack up property taxes. And here's the basic point of all this. They will jack up property taxes to pay for public schools. Meanwhile, private schools get a blank check on taxpayer dimes.
I don't understand that. I mean, why, there's churches that are 50 acres big, you know, and they don't pay a dime for property tax. I don't get that at all.
Yeah. I don't have an answer.
You know,
I mean, it doesn't make sense.
And with no accountability because they don't have a publicly elected school board.
Can't we do something to?
We can vote. We can door knock. We can get the 90,000 registered Democrats who didn't vote. Well, our county party has already contacted. They're working on contacting some of them because they don't realize that they're not registered to vote anymore because of the voter suppression bill.
If we're giving money to the churches to run their schools however they want, shouldn't they pay property tax? Because that's where the education money comes from.
You're getting into some great solutions, but it shouldn't even be an issue in the first place. The money should be going to ourselves, and that's going to take change at the voters' the ballot box, which you can't have ballot box. Dropbox anymore anyway. Yeah.
How good an issue will that be in the 4th district, the schools? Because other than Algona with Garrigan and Sioux City with Heelan, what other Catholic schools or private schools?
So
they don't have to be just Catholic. They can be evangelical.
I think
which are a lot.
in the far northwest, there's a lot of private schools up there. You got all the whole Western Christian, Unity Christian, Remsen St. Mary's, Galen Catholic. There's a lot, but I think the vouchers open the door to start. A lot of people start seeing the eyes, but the AEAs is what really impacted people. I've had when it first happened, I didn't think we were talking about it enough, so I did a Facebook Live event with Sharon Steckman, who's the ranking member on the Education Committee, and that first one, we had over 700 people on there, because everyone was looking for answers at that time, and we didn't have a lot of answers, but we wanted to open an honest discussion. And I remember seeing a couple of people in the chat saying, oh, don't make this a Democrat versus Republican thing. And the amount of people who jumped on there, not Sharon or I, but just commenters saying this would not be happening if it wasn't for Governor Reynolds.
Yeah.
And after that first one, I have not seen those same posts. And that activism has not gone away. And so it's yet to be determined, but everything they've done, I mean, even just the property taxes, there's taking away local control. There's so many issues that these Republicans at the Capitol are not meeting the needs of the people. And to me, that's where I think the disconnect is. I mean, heck, the Senate, we passed a bill out of the House to add more levels of cancer or different versions of cancer for firefighters so they can have more coverage. The Senate didn't even pick that up. And so what are they doing? And what's the state doing? Again, with the mental health crisis, with the nursing home crisis, child care issues, they're not solving anything. They're creating more problems. They're creating more unnecessary problems. And it's just, are we getting the Democratic message out? The problem is, like around my area, if I don't go to an event, the Democratic message doesn't get out there. And so what can we do to expand our message to get it there? So
What can we do?
Yeah, so that's why I try to be as active as I am on social media, so I can get people who live in those communities whether it's repost or just find engagement that way, and just there's only so much we can do, and then it's what can people amongst there do, because the news agencies aren't the same as what they used to be. The newspapers aren't the same. The televisions, the radio stations, they're all, it's tough. But people are on social media. And so if we can find validators from those areas to connect with folks, and that's why the AEA thing is so important, because people know from just life experience who the teachers, who the educators are, and once they start saying, hey, this is really bad, that's when the general public knows.
No, I'll add, I mean, I know you and several people went to some of the communications messaging, our people over politics agenda. Some of our partners they are on board with us, and just with the AEA or the school funding, the personhood bills, Planned Parenthood, Progress Iowa, all of these little networks have been using that similar message, because the right messenger to reach out. So continue tapping into them. When any of them have an event, it's important to go. It's important to support them. Those are all good. John was down at the Capitol with. That was Planned Parenthood and Legal and Voters, yeah. And I said, John, you got to come to this subcommittee meeting I'm going to. That was the one about I told you earlier about the school safety bill, and they didn't say anything about money for guns in that meeting, did they? No. Right? Yeah. But to have people there in the Capitol, but also tapping. I mean, that's how we chip away at it. That's how we try and keep people energized. And it's just going to they can't outwork us if we keep moving. I mean, we can. We just said these past elections, we outworked them. We a little bit more money and outworked them. That's again. I think most people that were able to give at the front door. So I don't think we're worried about a pass the hat. But if you didn't and you're able to throw something in on the way out, please do that, because it's all good.
I also want to add that some of what we're doing, or some of what I'm doing, is not always clear. I'm working behind the scenes. Like earlier this week, I actually flew to Michigan to talk to Democrats in the House and Senate there at the state level to push them, because they have a one-person majority in both the House and the Senate, and to tell them, hey, here's some things. I need you to be our guiding light as the state of Iowa. Mm-hmm. I need you guys to pass stuff that we can bring back to folks and saying, look, this is a good bill, this is what they're doing there, this is what we need to be doing. Same with Minnesota. I've been working a lot with representatives up there as well. And so I know how frustrating it can be right now down here, but I'm hoping, I know at some point, what they're doing at the Capitol is so far removed by our basic needs that there is going to be a breaking point, and we just have to capitalize it on that. So again, being here in March, not a long ways away from November, it'll come quick though. Just appreciate you all taking the time on a Friday night to be here, and again, what you're doing to help Beth helps me. I have an opponent. I'm the only one in 32 counties. They're going to go after me in Sioux City, but helping Beth helps me. So.
And just one final along those lines too. In the event that like you're saying, if Beth and I don't end up with opponents, since this is going to social media, I'm not going to say which districts, but we have committed to help some of those candidates that we've recruited to be in their communities to help. Bring some volunteers down to go door to door with them. In fact, Andy, I told his face on Andy's last name. Andy Keene, yeah, he's McKean, yeah, he's running for re-election. He lost the city. He was a Republican, switched to Democrat when I first came in. Yeah, and then lost, but he's running again. So we. again, those behind the scenes on Wednesdays for the past 2.5 months. Gosh, where'd the time go?
Yeah.
For the last 2.5 months, we've been, after debating during the debate of the day, we've been getting together making candidate recruitment phone calls. And so everybody's just really trying to do what's that, it really is, what's that one additional thing I can do and we can do, we'll get it done. So
Even on Valentine's Day.
even on Valentine's Day, yeah, and St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, no, but they.
Oh, no,
they're
that's right, yeah, Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day was on a Wednesday, and we had people calling there.
Yeah, that's right. So, thank you all. Let's put our hands together for Beth and for JD. I was the second string, so, all right. But there's plenty of food back there still, and have a good evening. Great to see you.